There is an aisle in every supermarket you can walk down without saying a word to anyone. You pick the box up, you pay, nobody comments. That arrangement is about 100 years old. In 1880, a firm in Birmingham advertised a ready-made sanitary towel. It ran in the British Medical Journal. In October, a lady's paper told readers where to buy it. 3 shillings a dozen. It worked, and you could buy it. 40 years later, most women still had no ordinary way of asking for one. So what did women use instead? And why is that a harder question than it sounds? Almost everything written about this online has no source behind it at all. So I am sticking to things we can point at. A cesspit in Leicester. A scrap of cloth from Norway, and a shop counter with a box of coins on it. Start with the laundry, because that is where the evidence is. Monday, the copper is lit before it gets light. Lye, boiling water, and linen going in by the armful. Everything this household owns that touches a body comes through this room, including the clouts. A clout is a strip of linen. That is the entire invention. Linen, specifically, because clean linen draws the moisture off skin. Wool does not, and wool is what she is wearing. So how do you hold a strip of cloth in place with no elastic in the world yet? You pin it to a girdle, a belt worn under the skirts. Elizabeth I owned girdles of black silk for exactly this purpose. And we have the pins. Leicester, 2006. Archaeologists open a cesspit behind a row of houses, dated to between 1500 and 1650. Inside it, strips of decayed linen and copper pins lying in among them. For years, those were written up as toilet paper, or a tailor's offcuts. They are neither. They are clouts and the pins that held them on. The same pit had sloe stones in it. Sloes were the standard remedy for a heavy period, and ribwort plantain seeds, used, in the language of the time, for issues of the blood. Somebody in that house was not just coping with this, she was treating it. There was even a phrase for the heavy days. Wearing of the double clout, 2 layers. You do not get a phrase for a thing nobody does. The word turns up somewhere stranger too. Preachers used a menstruous clout as their stock image for sin, straight out of Isaiah. Unspeakable in the house. A sermon on Sunday. Here is where historians genuinely disagree, and I am not going to paper over it. Sarah Reed is the leading scholar of this period, and her reading is careful. Cloths, she argues, were mainly for heavy bleeding. The rest of the time, she concludes, most women simply bled into their clothes. This February, an archaeologist in Norway pushed back hard on that. Sunniva Wilberg Halvorsson's first argument is just arithmetic. One wool garment is something like 1,000 hours of work. Shearing it, washing it, carding, spinning, weaving, fulling, dyeing, sewing. You cannot ruin one of those every month. Nobody on earth could afford it. And she has the cloth to go with the argument. 13th century Tunsberg. Fragments torn, folded and pleated on purpose. One tested positive for human blood. The first such detection in Norwegian archaeology. Fly larvae in the same deposit had fed on human blood as well. And packed in beside it, sphagnum moss. They called it blood moss. So who is right? Probably both, about different days, because cloth survives when it was soaked, and the heaviest days are the ones that leave anything to find. Now jump 300 years and watch something much stranger happen. Southalls of Birmingham, 1880. A ready-made towel, absorbent, and thrown away after use, which is the part nobody had offered before. It ran in the British Medical Journal that July, described as a much improved substitute for the napkin. In October, a ladies' paper called The Queen told its readers exactly where to buy it. 3 shillings a dozen from a ladies' outfitter in town. So the product problem is solved in 1880. Done. And then, for 40 years, almost nothing happens. No mass market. No household name. Look at how Southall's had to sell it. Postal orders, they promised, were handled entirely by ladies. No man would read your name, and the parcels went out with plain labels, quote, quite free from anything to attract observation. That is a company selling you the silence as part of the product. They knew exactly what the obstacle was, and they built the packaging around it. Because the difficulty was never the cotton. That part had been sorted out. It was standing in a shop, in front of people, and saying what you wanted. Which is why some counters kept a plain box at the end and a tin beside it for the money. You took the box. You left the coins. You said nothing at all. Neither of them said the word. Both of them knew precisely what the transaction was. There was also this thing. The sanitary apron, rubberized and worn over the backside. Its whole job was to protect the furniture when you sat down. Not you. The chair. Imagine owning one of those, wearing it, washing it, and never once being able to mention it to anybody. America tried the same thing 16 years later and failed in exactly the same way. Johnson & Johnson, 1896, Leicester's towels. A product that worked, which almost no woman ever heard of, because advertising it was thought improper. So they made it, shelved it, and quietly gave up. It took a war to break it open. French field hospitals had a cellulose wound dressing called cellucotton. The nurses worked out it absorbed better than anything they had at home and started using it themselves. After the war, Kimberly-Clark had warehouses full of the stuff and no wound to put it on. In 1920, they took the same wadding, cut it down, and called it Kotex. And here is my favourite detail in the whole film. The company was so worried about its own respectability that it set up an entirely separate company to do the selling, so the family name stayed off the box. It did not keep them quiet for long. By 1927, Kotex was selling $11 million a year, which is an enormous amount of money to make from a thing nobody would name. 57 countries. And in 1931, a doctor called Earl Haas patented an applicator tampon. That became Tampax. 51 years after Birmingham. Half a century to sell a thing that already worked. So, back to the aisle. There is nothing on these shelves that would surprise a woman from 1880. Absorbent material, held in place. She had that. What she did not have was any ordinary way of asking for it out loud. That is the part that took 100 years. Not the cotton, the conversation. Next time, how courting actually worked. The 10 years an English bride spent working before anyone married her. And who did the choosing? Before dating, how people actually got married. See you there.